Fucking dungeons, moaned Neil from his hospital bed. The lies we'd had to come up with to explain his strange injury. His leg just ended after the knee. There were no tool marks, no cuts in his flesh, just a bloody maw. Mr. K is going to murder you, Jackson. Neil was snickering now. Jackson's eyes went wide. The bullets! Red grinned and produced one of the lost bullets from his pocket. I grabbed it when I was kicking that piece of shit skeleton. Got something else, too. It's a surprise. I left it in the car. Crankin' wagon, Neil giggled. He was high as a kite and feeling no pain due to the morphine drip in his IV. The surprise Red had grabbed had been Throne Bones' head. He'd wrapped it in his shirt and smuggled it back with us. The damn thing made my hand ache just to be in the room with it. We'll call it the Chattering Skull. Red was increasingly amused by our newest accidental acquisition. The skull did chatter, though. I knew it was really just gnashing its teeth, waiting for me to get too close so it could take more of me. My hand was an absolute mess. I wasn't sure if I'd be able to use it after it healed. I didn't dare complain, though. Because of me, Neil was now an amputee, if he could be called that. After the hospital released him and we finally came home, we expected the museum to be in chaos. The place was immaculate. Neil flew past me in his wheelchair and rolled down the hall, calling for Mr. K. Every item and being was in their place. Someone had fed them and cleaned the place while we were gone. Even the office was organized, but no Mr. K in sight. Neil stretched up and snatched a pin from the map and threw it angrily in the trash. I guess you guys will just have to leave me here from now on. I'll be pretty useless with just one leg. Neil, you know it's true. You gonna wheel me around the world, hoping I don't slow you down when the time comes? No, I won't risk it. He looked to me and his eyes filled with tears as they rested on my bandaged hand. Because of me, Gabe might not ever regain the use of his hand. His right hand. You're gonna have to relearn how to do everything, and it's all my... I slapped him. I was so angry. He was wheelchair bound because I froze, and all this time he was upset, not because he lost his leg, but because he might hold us back, because I lost a little flesh and blood. I could hear Red and Jackson yelling at me, but I could only glare down at Neil's stump. If you ever say any bullshit like that again, it's my fault you're in that chair. We will find a way to make you walk again, even if I have to hunt down Geppetto's carving tools and living wood alone. You will always be a part of the team. Neil cracked a crooked smile at me. Now look who's being the emotional pussy. And just like that, everything was fine again. We were missing body parts, but we were whole. Family. My smushy thoughts were interrupted by a tug on my pant leg. A flash of movement under the desk I stood next to caught my eye before a very small hand held out an envelope. Crouching down to see who or what was offering it up, I was stopped by a shrill, "Don't look at me! Don't look at me! Don't look at me!" The voice went from adorable animated Disney character high to demonic hellspawn deep in the span of those 3 sentences. Okay, not looking. A shaky and delicately clawed grayish-green hand lifted the envelope up. As soon as it was in my grasp, the creature shot out from under the desk, wove between Jackson's legs, and out the office door. It screeched the whole way. What was that? Dunno. Probably should recheck the enclosures. Sure, but I've never seen anything like that in here. Course not. It doesn't want to be looked at, remember? Red laughed. Ignoring them, I opened the envelope. Inside was a hastily scribbled note. Change of plans, boys. Not sure I'll be coming back again soon. Sorry to have missed you. I take it you have Miramasa. Do I want to know why Jaimerope has one of the headphones? Delxiope has named the Naiad Nixie. She'll grow fast at first, so please see to it she is properly clothed. Continue with the jobs. Only use the address I gave you in case of emergencies, or you've completed the list. I brought you helpers. Do not look at them. R. Kincade. Sighing inwardly, I passed the note to Neil and headed to the moonpool room. I heard small gasps and the clicking sound of long nails on the floor whenever I turned a corner. There would be a flash of movement while the new helpers scurried out of sight. I hoped it was the mysterious helpers. Great. We can market the museum as now haunted.
Excuse me, sir, but I didn't see you come in. Do you mind showing me your ticket?
The voice behind me was scratchy and cracking like a pubescent boy. I turned curiously. Since when did we check tickets? The small man that bravely met my gaze was a sight to behold. His skin was weathered and crinkled like old leather. The few unruly tufts of hair that peeked out from under his flat cap were nearly transparent in color. His moss-green eyes were huge and clear, belying a certain cleverness in the way they twinkled. He tugged on his goat-speared goatee and raised an eyebrow. He held out his hand expectantly.
Your ticket, sir?
I smiled and instead pulled out my badge and handed it to him. A large smile spread across his face.
Oh, you've returned. So that's what all the squealing was about. Apologies, sir. My name is James.
He removed his flat cap and gave a small bow. Two long pointed and pierced ears sprung out from his wild hair, and he struggled to get them back under his cap, the several gold hoops in each ear catching on the fabric of the hat. Small giggles and titters echoed down the hall.
I am your manager. Well, that is, I'll take care of things while you all from acquisitions are out acquiring things.
He leveled a steely gaze at someone behind me, and the hall fell silent.
Elves, Mr. Gabe. Little ones. There are also a few others Mr. K brought back. Some gnomes and a brownie. Due to the malignant spread of your kind, we have all lost our homes. Mr. K was kind enough to offer us a home here in exchange for keeping the place tidy and safe. Perhaps I should give you my cell so that you can call to let us know when you'll be around.
Whoa, what are you? Goblin? Hobgoblin? Fae?
I am displaced. My name is James.
He offered a short nod at the three idiots. His eyes landed on Neil. He began to wring his small hands and finally whooshed and was standing mere inches from Neil's stub.
May I, sir?
Sure. We watched as James gently pulled back the fabric of Neil's pant leg and unraveled the gauze.
Oh, still fresh. This is good. Very good.
He raised those intelligent eyes to Neil's.
I have just the thing. Just the thing.
With another whoosh, he was gone. Should I be scared? Together, we strolled to the moonpool room, where a small gathering of patrons had appeared. They were clustered tightly together, writing on a small whiteboard. Nixie, dressed in leaves and flower petals, sat on a lily pad on the other side of the glass. She was no longer the tiny bitty one she had been when we left. She looked to be about 5 now. She had a whiteboard of her own in her lap. Thelxie paced on the bank of the pond/pool. We continued down the hall, giving a small nod to Fadarge, who glared at us from her nest. Passing by the room of forbidden words and ignoring the whispers coming from the frightening library, we finally stopped at the Nightmares Showcase. Red gingerly placed the chattering skull on a pedestal before quickly slamming a glass case over top. The runes on the floor surrounding the display flashed a bright orange before vanishing. The box was now sealed. The ache in my palm subsided the tiniest of bits. I imagine it was the same for Neil. Traveling deeper into the museum, we passed the Gorgon Medusa's head, a single feather from Pegasus's wings, a flaming feather supposedly from the tail of a phoenix, and a handful of dragon scales, before we came to the cursed weapons room. Not all the weapons in the room were cursed. In fact, some were blessed. People respond better to scary and creepy things, so we just left the room as cursed. To our surprise, the ceiling pillars, or soul stakes, were already on display. Elves, we all agreed. James came clattering down the hall excitedly, a random leg flopping over his shoulder.
Mr. Neil, I have brought you the captain's leg.
He grinned and his eyes flashed golden.
I made it myself. I combined Captain Ahab's whalebone peg leg with Captain Nemo's ingeniousness and present it to you.
He strapped the strange leg onto Neil before anyone could protest. Brass gears hissed and the toes of the leg flexed.
You may use it until you get your leg back.
But those are fictional characters, James. Jackson was doing his accidentally douchey voice.
Are they?
James's eyes twinkled.
I must get back to work.
He did his little half bow and whooshed away once more.
Wait,
cried Neil. James! What did he mean, get my leg back? Fucking dungeons.
Fuck you, Red! You can all go by yourselves. I'm not going back.
I could hear Neil yelling from all the way down the hall.
Sure, I'm a goddamn pussy. I don't give a shit. I only got one leg left, and I still have night terrors about that place and your piece of shit chattering skull. I'll stay here and manage the museum with James.
We have elves, brownies, gnomes, and a dwarf for that, Neil. You know how they feel when you try to take over their job. Jackson had lowered his voice to be calm and soothing. He tried, he really did. He really just sounded like a condescending asshole. They were at each other's throats by the time I entered the room. We don't even know if A, my leg is still there, B, what we'll find in that dungeon now, or C, where the bullets are. Neil looked ready to start throwing punches. I looked at my hand. The muscles had begun to heal themselves thanks to a magic ointment left by my bed. The skin had yet to begin to regrow. I wore a glove to keep it all protected, but I had little feeling in it as of yet. I wouldn't be able to fire a gun. We have to get the bullets, Neil. I tried to say it as calmly as possible. I don't want to be the one to tell Mr. K that we lost some of them because we were too scared to go back. They didn't respond to the holy smokers or the resin flares. How are we supposed to protect ourselves? Neil was right, but it didn't change the fact that we needed those bullets. The plane and chopper rides back to the ruined castle seemed horribly short. I felt sick to my stomach, and Neil was green by the time we landed. Just don't freeze up, I kept telling myself over and over. I passed my good hand over the spot on my belly, where one of the blessed bullets had blown through, leaving me completely unharmed. We had to get those bullets. It's time to bite the bullet, Red snorted out. See what I did there? Don't quit your day job, Jackson retorted. Neil jumped down from the helicopter and pulled his duffel from the Iron Bird. I'll wait up here. He threw a walkie-talkie at me. Keep in touch. If I really have to come down there to save you or something, I will. His captain's leg clicked and whizzed as he walked over and sat on a pile of rubble. Good luck. The castle seemed creepier than before. Hundreds of animal bones littered the floor and crunched under our boots. The closer we got to the door, the larger the piles got. The stairs seemed narrower and darker. It was getting harder to breathe, and my heart threatened to break through its cage and rip itself from my chest. Dude, Gabe, breathe. You're hyperventilating. The three of us emerged from the stairs to find the cavern brightly lit by torches hanging on the walls. A hideous monster sat on the throne amidst a pile of bones, human and animal alike. Boot-clad feet crossed at the ankles. The monster sat with its chin propped up on his fist. It was mostly human until you got to the head. Great branching antlers pushed obscenely through thick hide-like skin. Fox-colored fur sprouted between the antlers like a mohawk and spread down the sides of the head until it came to wolf-like ears. The fuck is that? Its eyes shot open and the disgusting head turned to us. Dry, cracked lips spread apart as the creature smiled at us, displaying a mouthful of sharp, rotten teeth.
You took my head.
Its voice sounded thick with mucus.
They had to kill a new one. Wouldn't you like it?
It stood, and the piles of bones around its feet began to pull themselves into heinous forms. Jackson threw 3 holy smokers out as we pulled kerchiefs over our mouths and noses. Even if the purifying smoke didn't clear them out, we could at least choke the big guy with a massive amount of it. Red swung Babe. He named the axe after the spirit animal hiding within, and bones shattered. Jackson plowed through heads with a never-dulling chawgram. I stood there like an idiot, baseball bat over my shoulder, looking for glimmers of the steel bullets on the cold stone floor. Throne Bones gurgled out.
Mend.
Slammed his staff into the ground and began to laugh maniacally. We watched in horror as the small pieces of bones flew through the air and made a small army of fully formed skeleton warriors. No longer the mismatched pieces, these moved quicker and wielded weapons of their own. The torches went out and silence blanketed the room along with the dark. I cracked a flare and threw it out into the room, instantly wishing I hadn't. 6 skeletons were tearing the others limb from limb, using the spare body parts to create armor. They grew larger with each bone added. We were screwed. We fought hard. Every time we brought one down, Throne Bones would scream out, "Mend!" and it would return. My left palm was blistered. The right was bloody from swinging the bat. Jackson and Red were sucking in air as hard as I was. Each had a list of their own injuries. We were on our last flare and even it was dying. Red gasped and wiped at the blood dripping down into his eye. We could make a run for it. Might follow. Jackson's own chawgram had been flung back at him. Blood saturated his shirt by the open wound. It wouldn't be long. I just hoped it'd be quick. My vision was already starting to fade. I didn't know how much longer I could fight. Red and Jax were feeling the same. I could see it in their eyes. Throne Bones roared with delight.
It won't be long until I feast on your flesh, little mortals.
Like his skeletal guards, he just pulled himself back together any time we damaged him. His breastplate made of woven ribs were fairly impenetrable. The foot bone's connected to the ankle bone. The ankle bone's connected to the leg bone. Neil's voice sang out eerily through the dark. Now shake them skeleton bones.
Hit the floor, boys!
He sprung out from the stairs, a large machine gun braced against his body.
Fucking dungeons!
He screamed as he sprayed bullets everywhere. Once he was ankle deep in shells and his evil laughter had faded with the machine gun's ammo, we finally peeked up at him. His eyes were glassy and bloodshot, if not a little crazed. Are you high? Where the fuck did you get that? Neil grinned. Maybe. Found it on the chopper. I was bored. The bone fragments around us began to rumble. Neil stomped over to what was left of Throne Bones and kicked the sternum as hard as he could. What's that? The bones were beginning to pull together as if attracted by some magnetic force. Neil leaned down and plucked a pendant from Throne Bones. Everything went still.
Oh, you have got to be fucking shitting me!
Jackson's voice rang out. Red lit a torch with his Zippo and brought more light back to our world. Neil stood amidst a pile of decaying flesh and organs. What had previously been fresh blood and gore was now oozing with decomposing goo.
Oh God!
He hurled, adding to the already fragrant stench of the room. We spent hours digging through the disgusting heaps, looking for Miramas's bullets. Soaked in sweat, blood, tears, and other gross liquids, we crawled around on the ground in the fetid offal.
Neil, I found your leg!
Ha fucking ha!
No, I'm serious!
Jackson waved a tibia at him.
How do you know it's mine?
Neil tripped in goo as he slogged towards Jackson. 'Cause your shoe is on the foot that's attached to it?
I found the last bullet,
shouted Red. But we have a little problem. The last bullet was lodged in the cave wall. As we beat at it with my bat and tried prying it out with a blade, we realized we were going to have to leave and come back. Again.
Fucking dungeons,
mumbled Red as he kicked at a body. There was a sharp clank and Thronebones' staff rolled towards him. He snatched it up and rammed it down on the floor.
Bullet, come!
The cave rumbled as the bullet clinked out and fell to the floor.
No way!
He slammed the staff again and yelled,
Open, says me!
The room moaned and trembled, but nothing happened. Down he slammed it.
You shall not pass!
The walls shook. Pebbles and dust fell from the ceiling, and the stone floor beneath his feet cracked and gave way. None was more surprised than Red as we all watched in stunned silence as he fell into a gaping maw of frigid darkness.